Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? Ajibale Kemcho Ad Sub Keso. Today I'm going over the relationship between the 4th and the 10th house, okay? And there's a couple of reasons why I really felt like I needed to make this video. The first reason is why there's not too many people that know the relationship of why two houses are always 7 houses apart. For example, the 3rd and the 9th house, right? Why are they specifically 7 houses apart? Because each planet always aspects 7 houses from it, right? So it's pretty significant, right? The reason why is because any 2 houses, 7 houses across are going to have a flow, like some sort of energetic constant flow. For example, the 3rd and the 9th, the 3rd is all about your efforts. The 9th is all about your learnings. Your efforts is always going to affect what you learn, and what you learn is always going to affect your efforts. So it's like a constant cycle, okay? Now that's great and lovely, right? But why specifically the 4th and the 10th house I'm making this video? The reason why is because we have these lovely 4 things called Kendra houses, okay? The 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th. They aspect each other in the sense that the 1st and 7th aspect each other, and then the 4th and the 10th aspect each other, okay? And these 4 are the 4 areas of life that most people care about the most, okay? Now, the 1st and the 7th house, most people kind of already have an idea of why they aspect each other, right? It's because the relationship that you have with yourself affects the relationship you have with other people, and the relationship you have with other people affects the relationship you have with yourself. However, the 4th and the 10th house, your home life, your comforts, these kind of things, and your purpose in life, let's use that word specifically, not your job, not how much money you're going to get, whatever. They too affect each other very strongly, just as strongly, and people are not really aware of how much they connect with each other, okay? So that's why I'm making this video specifically on the 4th and the 10th house, okay? Let's see how long this video goes. So your 4th house, it represents what? Your comforts, your, your home life, that kind of thing. Your 10th house represents your purpose. Let's just call it your purpose, right? Yes, your job is a big part of your 10th life, right? But, it is your purpose in life, okay? Now, how does your 4th house and your 10th house affect each other? Okay, if you go to any small town, okay, in India, in the US, wherever, for the most part, if you come across some worker, okay, let's just say it's some worker in a small town and he works as a cash register, or he does some blue collar job or something like that, most likely you're going to know 2 things about. You're going to notice one thing about this person, but you're going to notice 2 things in general. The first most obvious thing is that most likely whatever they do, they are doing it with a much higher sense of purpose, even if they're getting paid 10 times less, okay? The second thing is that in smaller towns in general, the home life is a lot more simple and stable. And I'm not talking about financially stable. I'm talking about more emotionally stable and just a overall, in general, usually a much simpler and happier place to be in general, okay? And if you disagree with that, that's fine, but just for this video, assume that's true, okay? Or even if you disagree with the first part. But in general, you'll notice that people who, now let's take these 2, right? So we can kind of assume here that people who have more passion at work or have a more purpose-driven at work, right? They also have a happier home life, okay? And vice versa. If they have a happier home life, they have more passion at work, right? There is a quote, behind every successful man is the support of a woman. Now, we live in a much more modernized society where, it's not just, the woman at home and the man out in the career, but the purpose of why I said that quote is to display a statement here, okay? In that it's not necessarily that every single guy who has money has, a wife at home supporting, right? There's a lot of them who are divorced or they never got married or whatever, right? But in general, if you take people who are very, very, very purpose-driven, and I'm not talking about just know how to make money. I'm talking about genuinely and this is where, astrology has a little bit of a gray area, especially when it comes to today's modern world where there is not a lot of purpose out there, right? All the money is from investing in stuff that you might not wholeheartedly believe in, or sales, or like selling stuff that you don't really believe in yourself. Hey, you guys get the point, right? But if somebody is doing something very purposely at a soul level from the bottom of their heart, they more chances than not at home have a very strong support system, and that makes them happy and comforted and things like that. Okay, and this works for man or female, no matter which one is which, or which one is the purpose-driven one, or whatever, right? Vice versa also, right? You know, if you look at any a woman's, you know, dating preferences, but any person's dating preferences, right? They in general would like someone who really does some work from the bottom of their heart. Okay, I would hope. Like I think in general that's the common theme here, right? So this is why, for example, I wouldn't say as much today, because like I said, the modern way of, you know, how the corporate system is running and all this kind of stuff. But at least back in the day, people were genuinely more, especially women, were more attracted to more wealthier people, right? Because they were most likely doing more purposeful work. Now, they're still attracted to more wealthier people now, but for a little bit more of a superficial reason. But, you know, in general, if somebody that somebody is with is a very purpose-driven person, that would make the home also much more of a nurturing environment, right? Somebody is going to be much more willing to provide support for it's all a very subtle, energetic thing, right? But if somebody knows that their partner is out there, you know, just genuinely doing work and service, not necessarily service, but even service, right? Service or work or something from the bottom of their heart, they are more than likely willing to, at home, create a very nurturing, comforting environment, however they see fit, right? Like, for example, if somebody is a great school teacher or something too, right? And that's just their passion, right? Like, if somebody's spouse is a great school teacher, then, you know, at home, they would be a lot more likely, right? Because they can energetically sense that this person is going out and really just, you know, being a very caring person for the community and all this stuff. They would be much more likely at home to create a much more nurturing environment and things like that, right? Now, in theory, you could say, well, can't you just do these two independently? And in theory, I would say, yeah, you can, right? This is why in astrology, they're two separate houses, right? But they have a very strong, like, symbiotic almost relationship with each other, right? This is why it's also like, you know, people say, like, don't bring your work stuff home, or don't bring your work stuff or your home stuff to work, right? Like, if you're going through a really bad situation at home with your kids or divorce or something, don't let it affect your work. Or if you're going through some really, you know, rough work scenarios or stuff like that, don't bring it home to your kids, right? So we understand the concept of not bringing the bad from place to place, right? But I don't think a lot of people have understood the concept of the good, right? You can bring the good from work home and the good from home to work, right? And that's kind of clouded by this, you know, modern kind of society thing we live in, this, you know, this money machine kind of system we live in. But, you know, I just wanted to make this video for that kind of awareness, okay? So I think that's it for this video. This does not need to go past 10 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, you can feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.